Hello everybody and welcome back to a new video. I am Pat from Pat's Path Predictor, and let's go ahead and dive right into this as we have 3 severe weather risk days. We have a slight risk for today, but we have now an enhanced risk that has been issued for tomorrow and another slight risk for Saturday. So let's go ahead and dive right into this as the situation is starting to escalate quite a bit. Alright, so this is the situation we're dealing with right here. You can see there's the slight risk area right here, from including Wichita, parts of the tip of Oklahoma, mostly encompassing parts of central and eastern Kansas right here, as well as other parts of the tip of Nebraska, slight smidge of Missouri right there, and then the marginal risk goes from Texas all the way up to Iowa, as you can see it. Yeah, area of population that could be affected, and the slight risk is 1.6 million, 6 million in the marginal risk, so we have to keep an eye out for that. Includes cities, in the slight risk, it includes cities like Wichita, Topeka, Lawrence, Salina, and Manhattan, Kansas. Whereas the marginal, it's Kansas City, Missouri, Omaha, Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska, Des Moines, Iowa, and Overland Park, Kansas. So, yeah, I'll be keeping a very close eye on it. The tornado threat is it's kind of concentrated in this area right here, parts of Oklahoma and Kansas. There's a 5% area of a tornado within 25 miles of a point right here, and the 2% everywhere else right here. The wind threat is also the lowest threat. The hail threat's the highest threat. I just showed that to you, but we'll get to that in a second. The wind threat is the lowest threat out of all of these. There's a 5% risk of that, essentially in the marginal risk area for parts of it. And the hail threat is the largest threat, and it's the largest threat by far. I wouldn't say by far, because the tornado threat's 5%. That warrants a slight risk, but nevertheless. 15%, but look at this, there's a hatched area right here, which means there's a 15% chance of 2-inch hail or more within 25 miles from a point. So everyone needs to keep a close eye on that, as well as that smidge of the 15% that is not in that hatched area. 5% is pretty much everywhere else. Let's go ahead and read the summary and synopsis. Right here, there's a slight risk of severe thunderstorms over parts of northwestern Oklahoma into the central Kansas region. Summary. Large damaging hail, severe gusts, and perhaps a tornado are possible with any thunderstorms that can develop over parts of the northwestern Oklahoma into the central Kansas region. Synopsis. A substantially mid-upper level pattern change is underway across the continental United States, increasingly emphasizing cyclonic flow across the west. This will occur in response to a large synoptic scale cyclone, initially centered approximately 500 nautical miles west of the mouth of the Columbia River, and the troughing that extends south past 30 degrees north into the northeastern Pacific. Excuse me. This several vorticity maxima orbits in the mid to upper flow. The cyclone will move inland over the Pacific Northwest tonight. An intense basal shortwave trough will move eastward and onshore into central California tonight as well. Okay. Alright, that's all the stuff that's leading up to this. These two paragraphs right here are the stuff that leads up to the severe weather for tomorrow. So that's why I'm going to be skipping it. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and go to the central southern plains and parts of Missouri and Iowa. Isolated to widely scattered surface-based thunderstorms are possible late this afternoon to this evening over parts of western Oklahoma and central Kansas. Any sustained convection could be supercellular, with up to significant 2-inch plus diameter hail sizes, damaging wind gusts, and a brief conditional window for tornadic opportunity. Severe potential in this region is conditional, and the slight area has been pared down from where the parameter space is most favorable below, and the large hail size is possible should storms form. In the area from western Oklahoma to central Kansas, the already meager large-scale effect of the weak approaching southern stream shortwave trough may be offset by ambient synoptic height rises. As such, little, if any, mid to upper support is expected, and surface-based convection potential will depend on the sustained lift related to the front and dry line beneath a weakening EML inversion. This may be sufficient for initiation anyway, given 3 to 4 hours of essentially no LCINH present in unmodified soundings from multiple synoptic models and CAMs. This progs, unsurprisingly, such a subtle balanced scenario appear: 1, largely undone on the warm sector surface and heating, and 2, very inconsistent on convective production duration. The parameter space will be favorable for surface dew points, will gradually be in the upper 50s to mid 60s Fahrenheit, with a steep mid to upper level lapse rate supported CAPE of 2,000 to 3,000 joules per kilogram. Let's actually take a look at the HER model once again, because that's the closest we have. Let's go to the CAPE. Yeah, for this afternoon, let's take a look. Yeah, this is for parts of Kansas and Oklahoma. This is the 21Z right here. This is into the evening. But yeah, it does support the 2,000 to 3,000 joules per kilogram of CAPE. This is by 6 p.m. this evening. There's areas that crack 3,000 right here, and that's basically what's going on. The CAPE, I would say it's generally there's a widespread area of 1,000 to 2,000 joules a kilogram, but there is a decent sized area of 2,000 to 3,000 joules a kilogram of CAPE right here. For example, the 21Z. That's where it's the most defined, but that's mostly in Oklahoma. It's bleeding into Kansas at that point, so yeah, I'll be keeping a close eye on it. We'll be talking more about the CAPE for tomorrow as well, so please keep an eye out for that. More certain, denser coverage, but mostly less intense convection is expected into the north of the front, with a broad, elevated, low-level warm advection regime with steep pre-convective, lapse rates aloft. Isolated severe hail and perhaps a strong severe gust may occur with that activity and atop a boundary layer that is somewhat dry as well as stable. Before convection, precip becoming overly expansive and messy in mode. The great potential for large and perhaps a brief significant hail will be in the southern rim of this activity, closest to the surface warm front, where inflow of the relatively high theta E air atop of the frontal system will be at least impeded. So, in English for you guys, it appears that either it's going to be very messy, or it's going to be a brief severe thunderstorm activity. So yeah, there's that hail risk is still warranted nevertheless, but that's basically what it means in English. There's a slight risk. Like this is the largest threat right here, and it was emphasizing that a bit. The CAPE's also very favorable, about 2,000 to 3,000 joules per kilogram. If that cap is weak enough, it'll be enough to basically favor some severe thunderstorms like the ones I was talking about. Now the day 2 outlook, this is the one that is most concerning right here, because they upped this today from a slight risk into an enhanced risk from Amarillo. I'm sorry, I know how to pronounce that, but seriously, that's besides the point. From Amarillo in Texas all the way up to Minnesota. So yeah, that's basically what's going on. The slight risk extends all the way to Minneapolis now, as well as Omaha and Lincoln. It didn't beforehand, and now it extends back to there. So yeah, I'm keeping an eye on it. The marginal risk encompasses a very large area. It encompasses most of Wisconsin, most of what's left in Minnesota, most of Iowa, much of North Dakota, parts of South Dakota. Basically, it's the outer rim of that. The enhanced risk right here we'll be talking about right now. The tornado threat, it's not very large, like it's only 2%, so that's not the main concern. The main concerns are the wind and the hail threat. The wind threat is now 30% in this area within 25 miles of a point. So yeah, 30% of 50 knots or 60 miles per hour. It's technically 58, but we estimate it up to 60 because we round up to 5s and zeros. So yeah, thought I'd let you know that. Hail threat is more concentrated up in South Dakota, 30% within 25 miles of a point right there. So yeah, that's the situation we're dealing with right here. So yeah, that's what's going on. There's an enhanced risk of severe thunderstorms late Friday through Friday night across parts of the Texas, Oklahoma, panhandles, western Kansas, central Nebraska, east South Dakota, and adjacent southwestern Minnesota. Summary: severe thunderstorms are expected to develop across parts of the Great Plains into the upper Midwest Friday through Friday night. Isolated tornadoes are possible, but strong wind gusts and large hail appear the primary severe threats. So let's actually go ahead and skip this part of the synopsis, and let's just go ahead and go to the risks. Great Plains into the upper Midwest. Drying from the southeast, coupled with daytime heating and mixing, may confine higher boundary layer moisture of narrow corridors along and the cool side of the developing warm frontal zone near the northeast and lower Missouri Valley by late afternoon, and nearing the deepening surface trough across the high plains. The northeastward advecting plume of the east elevated mixed layer air will tend to overspread the warm front, and contribute to increasingly mid-level inhabitation, but this may precede the lower mid-tropospheric warm advection-driven storms, which could pose a risk for severe hail northeast of the Missouri Valley and the upper Midwest during the day. Thereafter, it appears that a sharpening dry line may become the focus of initiation, with scattered strong severe thunderstorms by late afternoon. However, more widespread thunderstorm development seems likely Friday evening, coinciding with a southerly low-level jet intensification, including 50 to 70 knots around 850 millibars, and increasing forcing of this ascent associated with the approaching mid-level trough. It remains unclear whether this will most prominently include the upscale growth into the initial dryline storms, or redevelopment of the storms in the eastward advancing of the cold front as it overtakes the dry line across the high plains. Regardless, the strong convective gusts appear likely to become more prominent in the widespread severe hazard across much of the central high plains by Friday evening. It is also possible that the warm frontal zone near the strengthening low-level jet axis could become a focus of a clustering of supercells, posing a risk for large hail as it noses northward across the eastern South Dakota. This activity could also pose a risk for tornadoes initially, but the tornado threat in general remains unclear at that time. That's why they issued the 2%, because the tornado threat is uncertain. So, actually, let's go ahead and take a look at the HRRR model. Let's go to the 12Z and move this up to tomorrow. So, yeah, this is 15Z. Already at 10 and 11 o'clock in the morning, we're seeing CAPE values cracking 3,000 in parts of Nebraska. And as we move this up, this becomes more widespread. Look at this. We're now seeing a CAPE of cracking 4,000 joules per kilogram. So, yeah, this thing is not kidding around, and it becomes kind of widespread by 5 p.m., which is 22 UTC. So, yeah, these CAPE values right here, we are cracking 4,000 joules per kilogram. We're at 4,300, that's the highest I've seen. But, yeah, that's basically what's going on. And as you can see, it becomes kind of more widespread into the evening and as it moves further to north. But I want to emphasize this CAPE right here. And basically, at this point, this thing is not kidding around. 4,000 joules of kilogram, that's very conducive as long as the cap is can be broken, which it seems that cap is going to be can be broken, but depending on how that CAPE is executed in those storms, it'll depend on how bad they get. So, yeah, I just wanted everyone to keep that in mind, because we're seeing models of the HRRR, especially with models cracking 4,000 joules per kilogram. That's pretty crazy right there, but nevertheless, I'll be keeping a close eye on it. And with that being said, that is really going to wrap up this video. I know I did the first 2 days. The video would be too long if I did all 3 of them, so I'm going to do a separate video for the day 3 as well as the days 4 through 8, even though they're predictability too low, predictability too low. So, yeah, that's basically what I'm going to do. I'm going to be breaking it up so that way I can quicken the videos. So, without further ado, I'm sorry if I'm stalling, but that's going to wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. It helps me out and helps me make more videos like these. It also informs more of the public. Hopefully it gets them more engaged with weather. That is the goal. And with that being said, guys, have a wonderful day. Stay safe.